Welcome, welcome. Today I thought we would do a little repurposed journaling. I was doing some cleaning out and came across this book that my grandma had given me when she was moving, and I thought it might be kind of fun to do this. So I guess two introductions. One is grandma's book, but it's Wisconsin Sketches. And it's this book with all these sketches and poems that these guys wrote in their wanderings through Wisconsin. And while it is, yes, a very cool book, it is also an old kind of smelly book. Kind of feels kind of dusty right now. And I wasn't sitting down and reading it, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna flip through it. And on the first page, she had this note to somebody special, a little note written to me saying she hoped that I enjoyed this book and all of that stuff. And it got me thinking that maybe I could do something sort of fun with this book. And as I went through it, there's certain images that I really, really liked, and ones that really didn't mean too much to me. And I'm like, what if I just tore out the pieces I liked and kept those? And as I went through there, some of the words started popping out at me too, and I was really liking them. I'm like, I'm gonna tear these out and see what we can do with those. And then I remembered magnetic poetry. Did any of you play with that at any point in your life? It's kind of a cute story, and I will write up the notes to that, synopsis of that story of how magnetic poetry got its start. And I'll put that in the notes section today, along with a little description of what we're doing today for repurposed journaling. This can be a great project if you're feeling a little stuck. The guy who invented magnetic poetry actually invented it because he was trying to overcome writer's block. Often with art therapy, I use collage to help people kind of move forward and get some kind of movement with their thoughts and expressing their emotions. And as an artist, that can often be super helpful in getting something into the blank space, whether it's your blank paper, blank canvas, blank journal page. I'm going to show you a couple examples, and then we'll get to the actual exercise today. So I really liked this image. These words are from different poems in the book. This one I got a little extra creative, and I really liked this gate for some reason and this horse from a different page in the book. And then I got to thinking, well, what might the horse be going into? Because these are gates. Can we make them open up? Well, sure we can with those little scissors or X-Acto knife. So I'm having them open up to here, which makes you want to, turn the page. So at some point I'm going to make a journal or a little booklet with all of these things. And then there's this fun elephant page and some more lines from different poems in that book. So I really hope that this exercise doesn't offend anybody who really loves books. I totally respect anybody who puts a book together, whether it's a drawing book or a writing book. And I feel like this is not just destroying somebody else's work, it's also helping it live on, because the guys who wrote this book and put a lot of time into it, they weren't being honored by that book sitting on the bottom of a pile, decaying and collecting dust and stuff in my house either. So if you're doing this exercise, whether it's with magazines or old letters or old books that you are going to repurpose, rip out pages, rip out images that you like, rip out words from different spots in the book that you like, and then you can rearrange them, you can glue them down, and be maybe pleasantly surprised or unpleasantly surprised by what comes up for you, what turns out on the page. This page, I just liked everything about it, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. But other ones, obviously you can see the different colors of the words on here. These are probably from at least 1, 2, 3, 4 different pages, so 4 different poems that I just grabbed different words from and created my own poem. Got lots of stuff on here that I want to do something with. So one thing as you're doing it, you go through and, like I said, you can tear out specific words, like maybe you like a word on the page or a little phrase, and you just start ripping them out. Maybe you really like a whole big section of it except for a couple words. So you rip them out, or you grab a black marker or some paint, some opaque paint, so paint that you can't see through, and you blot out what you don't want to use. You can add a word in here or there. So these are some of the words that I've collected today. So I really liked this image. For some reason it didn't have these words on it before. I didn't really like the poem that was written on this page, but I did like this other collection of words that I kept rearranging to find different ways of forming a sentence. So I very often try to imagine where art blooms pure beyond believing, And when I saw that phrase and I was flipping through my images and I saw this, I'm like, I wonder if they would go together. And then I saw this old guy on a different page. I'm like, maybe he's the one doing the imagining. And maybe there's something up here where the art is blooming. And on a different page, I saw this dog and cut him out. And I'm like, I would really like him to be walking with the old guy. And I was trying to figure out, I'm like, how should the dog be going? And I happened to flip it over on accident. And I saw that the back of the dog was really cool looking. And I'm like, well, maybe is the dog coming down the mountain, or the dog, like, what's the story here between these two? I haven't quite decided how this story should go. I also need to find something to cover this up, whether it's some paint or another image or another grouping of words. I guess I could also like cut it out and create a window to the next page. That's an example of using the images with it. And again, this is all repurposed journaling because we're taking an old book and we're using it, we're rearranging images, we're rearranging words that mean something to us without having to invent the whole thing from scratch. Another option for this, maybe you like a whole page of writing and you want to go through it and you blot out the words you don't like. So sometimes to start with that, maybe you want to use a pencil and circle the words that you do like so that you don't blot those out. And then you can also, because it has an eraser, you can also change your mind on the words that you want to keep. As I read through this one, does anything stand out to me? Woman, or maybe we make it more general. Maybe we say writers set forth to glory. I don't know, is your pioneer strength kind of a cool phrase? Your passionate idealism, maybe a reason for reform, but do not forget pasture flowers, clear air, and then I'm gonna add something in here, and colored misty hills. So maybe that's the poem that I want to create out of this person's poem. So I could either just draw lines through what I don't want. I could grab a marker, or again, that paint that you can't see through, and just start blotting out what parts you don't want. So I'm doing this in pencil because I'm not sure I want to keep it this way. I might end up not using any of this. But this is a fun way just to kind of get inspiration flowing, get ideas flowing in your journaling. And as you're tearing out words, you can just keep rearranging them. Maybe you end up tearing different sections apart and again rearranging them. So let's read what some of these words are in this one. Broken reeds, some fought for you, but not enough loved you. In woods, reflecting violet shadows might be one option with this collection of words, so let's set that aside. My wanderings against the magic neckcloth of the street lead us in memory to those small beauties. Oops. Shooting stars and sweet grasses. So that could be two. I had a whole nother story or poem with these words yesterday, and I just came up with two more. So they're just examples of some ways that you can keep rearranging words to come up with something that means something to you that day. And then you could tape it down with double stick tape, or put Scotch tape or mailing tape right over the top of it. So I glued the poem down, and it's a great prompt because then I added some extra paper that wasn't in the book, and I really liked this image that was on a totally different page from the original poem. Great prompt for some journaling. So it would be great is if I put that in a journal, glue it on one side, and then on the other side just write what emotions it stirs up for me, what memories it might bring to mind. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any art methods, modalities, materials that you would like me to give you some pointers on, or any emotions or situations that you would like to see addressed in one of these live sessions, let me know. I would totally customize an Art Therapy Thursday for, like I said, art material that you wanted to see used, or a specific issue or emotion that you want to see addressed. To recap real quick, today was all about repurposing old books. I had this old book that I liked some of the images, I liked some of the words, but I didn't like it as a whole book. So I'm going to eventually create a journal for myself of some of the images that I liked, some of the words, some of the poems and writings in the book that I tore phrases and words out of and created my own little story and poem. One page that I just blocked out the words I didn't like and created a new thought out of the words that somebody else wrote. It's a great thing to do when you're having writer's block or feel like being creative or getting into your journal but aren't quite sure what to do. These are great things to get the creative juices flowing. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for coming.